You know that feeling like you're in a constant battle with your own motivation? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. But what if I told you that the laziness you feel so guilty about is actually a myth? Well, today, we're going to bust that myth wide open and figure out what's really going on.
We've all been there, right? Picture this. That huge project is just staring you down. The deadline is getting closer and closer. But suddenly, scrolling through your phone feels like the most urgent, most important thing in the entire world. It's so frustrating, it's stressful, and it almost always ends with this heavy, awful dose of guilt.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? That feeling of being totally stuck, completely exhausted by the very idea of doing the work you need to do. And here's the most important part. If this sounds familiar, it's not a personal failure. It's just a shared human experience. And that feeling, that experience, leads us straight into the first big trap we all fall into. We give this thing a name, a simple label that feels true but is actually holding us back. We call it being lazy. Yeah, that one little word, lazy, carries so much weight. We use it to beat ourselves up, to convince ourselves that we have some kind of character flaw. But here's the real truth. It is a dangerously simple label for a really complex feeling. And honestly, it's almost always wrong. I want you to think of it like an iceberg. What we call laziness is just that little tip we can see above the water. The real causes, things like burnout, anxiety, decision fatigue, all that stuff is hidden deep beneath the surface. So let's challenge that diagnosis. Let's take a dive and look deeper.
Okay, so if it's not laziness, what in the world is it? It's time to pull back the curtain and meet the 3 real culprits that are secretly draining all your motivation.
Now, this might be the most important thing you hear today. Your struggle to get things started is not a reflection of your worth. It is not a moral failure. It's a signal. It's your mind and body's response to something deeper. So let's just stop the self-blame right now and start understanding what's really happening.
So first, let's get a critical distinction straight. Laziness is about being unwilling to use energy. The motivation just isn't there to begin with. But burnout? Whoa, that's totally different. That's what happens when you've been running on empty for way too long. The motivation was there, you had the spark, but prolonged stress has just completely wiped out your energy to act on it. Sound familiar? Our second culprit is hiding inside this number, 35,000. That is the estimated number of decisions you make every single day. We're talking everything from what to wear, what to eat, to which email to open first.
So your willpower is like a muscle, and each one of those 35,000 choices is a tiny little rep at the gym. By the end of the day, that muscle is just exhausted. That's decision fatigue. And it's the real reason why, after a long day, even choosing what to watch on TV can feel like an impossible task, let alone tackling a big, important project. And our final culprit? Well, this one might be the most surprising of all. Procrastination is not a time management problem, it's an emotional one. When a task makes us feel anxious or bored or just overwhelmed, our brain's little threat detector, the amygdala, it goes into fight or flight mode. And to escape that bad feeling, our brain basically screams, "Do anything else." And boom, that's the moment you suddenly find yourself reaching for your phone. So we're up against burnout, decision fatigue, and a full-on emotional overload. The one thing we can't do is magically create more hours in the day. So the solution isn't about managing your time, it's about managing something way more precious, and luckily, something that's renewable. This idea right here is a complete game changer. Think about it. Time is finite. You get 24 hours in a day, and that is it. But your energy, that's a renewable resource. So the real goal isn't to cram more stuff into your day. It's to get way, way better at systematically refueling your inner battery. And this framework breaks our energy down into 4 key dimensions. You've got physical energy, which is basically your body's stamina. You renew that with sleep, food, and breaks. Then there's emotional energy, which is the quality of your energy. Mental energy is your ability to focus. And finally, spiritual energy is your connection to a sense of purpose. If you neglect any one of these, the entire system starts to get wobbly and break down. All right, we've identified the real problem, and we've got a new framework. Now for the really fun part. The practical, actionable tools you can start using today to manage your energy and take back control. First up is a system called Getting Things Done, or GTD. The core idea is absolutely brilliant. Your brain is for having ideas, not for holding them. So you follow these 5 steps. You capture all your to-dos, you clarify them, organize them, reflect on them, and then you engage. You get all that mental clutter out of your head and into a system you trust. Just doing this can free up a massive amount of mental energy you're currently wasting just trying to remember everything.
Next, let's talk about building some better habits. Instead of looking at a giant, scary project, break it into tiny, manageable steps. Work in short, focused sprints so you don't burn out. And this is critical. Reward yourself for your accomplishments to keep your motivation high. All of this can be helped by practicing mindfulness, which helps you handle those emotional reactions we talked about earlier instead of letting them run the whole show.
Which brings us to a really important question. How do you make the hard stuff feel, well, less hard? The answer is pretty simple. You make the easy stuff automatic.
This is how you fight back against that decision fatigue. Every single tip you see here, meal planning, laying out your clothes, using checklists, it's all designed to do one thing: eliminate those tiny, willpower-draining decisions from your day. When you automate the small stuff, you save all that precious mental energy for the work that really, truly matters.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, from the science of why we procrastinate all the way to concrete strategies. But the real, lasting change, that starts with a shift in your mindset.
I need you to forget the idea of being some kind of perfect productivity machine. That is just a recipe for burnout. The real goal is to create a sustainable system where you can be effective while also taking care of yourself. This is all about sustainability, not perfection.
And I want to leave you with this powerful reminder. Being exhausted is not a moral failing. It is a signal. It's your body and your mind telling you it is time to refuel. So the most productive thing you can possibly do is to listen to that signal and practice a little self-compassion.
So think about it. What is one small thing you can do today? Maybe it's taking a real lunch break, or a 10-minute walk outside, or just taking 5 deep breaths between meetings. It doesn't have to be big. Just one small step to start managing your energy, not just your time. What will yours